Good Monday morning. Welcome to Break the Board. This is John, your host. Man, what an amazing week we had all the way around. WNBA, Major League Baseball playoffs, college football. But we still finished plus units that side. And then the Jacksonville Jaguars. They made it tough on us, but that money line bet, 4-unit, plus we had them with the Aces in game 3 for another parlay. Had them in another parlay. So Jacksonville, big winners for us. Bengals, hey, buying the point, paid dividends. We bought the point, taking the plus 3.5, got the W. So all kinds of great things. Baseball playoffs, Phillies rally in the double unit play last night. Connecticut Sun, cruise force in the double unit play there. We obviously still have the futures with the Liberty and all going. So things looking really good. Brewers Wednesday night, we got that parlay going with the Yankees game 1 with Yankees to win the series. That's looking good. So lots and lots of things on the horizon. Things bounce back in the NFL this week with the favorites having a much better week. The public gotten killed the first 4 weeks. Kicked off Thursday night. We had the Atlanta Falcons money line. Had to sweat it out, but it came home. Falcons got the win 36-30. Kirk Cousins throwing for over 500 yards. Old Kirk the Squirt. Now he will go to Carolina this coming Sunday. We'll get into that a little bit later. The Vikings were able to beat the New York Jets. All kinds of trouble in New York land. Salah, I'm not a fan. I've defended him, but now I got to get off that train. And Nathaniel Hackett, I don't understand. You got Breece Hall. You got Aaron Rodgers. Wilson, Mike Williams, just the thing is just not working. Now they're talking about getting Devontae Adams. I don't think that moves the needle very much either. So just lots of problems there in New York. They fall. We had them. That was a loss for us. We had Jets +3 and Rodgers with those interceptions. I really thought we were going to be in good shape and get the cover there. That did not happen. Now the Jets, so far a 2.5-point dog this coming Sunday night. They'll host the Buffalo Bills. Another team struggling. Bills dropped their second straight. They were in Houston, lost 23-20. Josh Allen did not play well at all. Texans as a 1.5-point dog got the win there outright. Ravens, Bengals, again, we had the Bengals. We bought the whole point, laid $1.35 plus 3.5. They should have won the game. They didn't win the game. And any futures tickets you had for them to win the North, you might as well burn those to the ground. Lamar just made some out-of-this-world plays. The one where he was scrambling to his right through that long, just a huge play. Again, as we say, construction going on here. So please, I apologize for that. And the neighbor's dog, who I've thought about, getting rid of a time or two. But I'm too much of a dog lover, so I can't do that. But God, I wish they'd shut him up. Anyway, Jaguars, we talked about them. They were huge. We had a money line. We didn't mess around with the spread. Thank God, because they took every opportunity to try and blow that game. And I got to tell you what, Joe Flacco, man, that guy just keeps throwing dimes. That guy just keeps up. And Pierce had a great game. Pittman. Colts have weapons. I don't like the head coach, right? He hasn't showed me anything. But if they could get that defense right and I still think they need to draft a quarterback. I know Anthony Richardson's there, but he will never last in the NFL, the beating he puts his body through. To me, he's a Cam Newton with a much better arm. But I got to tell you, really like the rest of this Colts team. It's a shame, but Joe Flacco, man, Browns, I bet they wish they had a hold of him still. Browns fall 13-34. The Commanders, they just keep winning, moves them to 4-1. Commanders cover the spread. They were laying 3.5. Another favorite. So Falcons a favored win. Falcons a favored win. Vikings a favored win. Ravens a favored cover the half. It closed at 2.5. Jaguars, technically, that went to 3.5. So technically the dog covered. So favorites 3-1. Commanders make favorites 4-1. Then you had the Miami Dolphins. They covered to move favorites to 5-1. They had the 15-10 win over the Patriots. And I got to say, as I'm starting to watch this Miami team, and they haven't looked well at all, right? So I don't want to act like they are. Thanks to Starbucks. pumpkin cream cold brew, greatest thing ever. Loved the pumpkin season. Took kids to the pumpkin patch. Got the Sam Adams Jacko pumpkin ale. Things are great. But I got to say, Miami, they get Tua back because Buffalo is sputtering. The Jets are sputtering. Miami's right back in this thing. I mean, look, AFC and NFC, I can't remember a year it's been at least 5 years, right? I would have to really sit and think about it, but I did think about this last night. I know in the last 2 or 3 years, it's been pretty clear. Kansas City, Buffalo, Cincinnati, San Francisco, Philly. Like those 5 teams are way better than everybody else. Then there's tier 2. Folks, I don't even think there's a tier 1, especially from a betting aspect. Again, Circus Survivor people got killed. You know, I was upset about my week 2 exit that I had. But listen, yesterday I would have had the Seahawks. Actually, I lost a teaser. I had a 6-point teaser, Seahawks -1 with Bengals +6.5 or +8.5, and the Seahawks just lay an egg, right? So people had San Francisco and Seattle got killed. Look, if the Chiefs go down, you could have like only down to like 170. It's just been a crazy year, and I think it speaks to the parity. I think it speaks to how great bookmakers have been. They've been really on their game. But listen, this Miami team, I think they could creep back. So favorites 5-2 so far. Bears, they throttle the Panthers. And so listen, all that Andy Dalton and Panthers look good. Listen, go ahead and go back to Bryce Young. I don't think Bryce Young is going to be what he needs, what I think he could be with Carolina, right? I was a big Bryce Young fan. I know the size, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, the kid's smart. He can throw the ball. I'm a fan. But, like, if you're Carolina, you're not going anywhere. So playing Andy Dalton means nothing. Bryce Young needs reps. You need to figure out by the end of this year, are we trading him? Are we cutting him? Are we drafting the quarterback? What are we doing? Because Carolina's probably going to be in the driver's seat for a top pick there. So again, that's just something you got to look at and figure out, hey, where are we going at the quarterback position? And I think the first thing is you got to put Bryce Young back in. Now, Panthers this coming week, they're hosting Atlanta. Right now, Atlanta, some places a 5, other places a 5.5 point favored here at Carolina. But again, another role there for the favorites in that respect. So that puts favorites at 6-2. Another favorite to move favorites to 7-2 ATS. Broncos throttle the Raiders 34-18. That Raiders team's an absolute mess. I don't know how you can in good conscience bet them for anything. Bo Nix, like what he's doing, like what I see. Now, the Broncos are hosting the Chargers next week. Right now, they're catching 2.5. Chargers coming off the bye. I do like the Chargers to circle the wagons back there against the Denver Broncos next week. But Broncos, an impressive 34 points. I mean, Bo Nix, Sean Payton, this thing is going to be in great shape for the long haul. That defense plays well. But again, on the other side, the Raiders just a mess. I mean, listen, it's hard to really judge Antonio Pierce. I don't like that he doesn't have Devontae Adams buy-in. I don't like that the Raiders have all those weapons and can't use them. But it goes back to everything. If you don't have a quarterback in the NFL, you are screwed, right? You're royally screwed. Gardner Minshew, he's not a franchise quarterback. He's a backup. Aiden O'Connell, I mean, I think he's a solid backup in this league. He's like a Chase Daniel. He's a guy come in and get you a couple wins. But that week 1, come out through week 17 type of starter, I just don't think the Raiders obviously have that. And I honestly don't know where they're going to get because I feel like a lot of teams get boxed into these contracts and they just don't play out well. But Raiders, huge issues. Cardinals, 7.5 point dogs win outright 24-23. That was a good win for our community there with the Cardinals. Packers 24-19, another favored, topples over the Rams there in that one. Matt Stafford and the Rams, listen, I had them in some future tickets. That is not looking like a winner whatsoever. I might as well punt on those and say goodbye to them. But the Packers getting the cover, that moves favorites 8-3. Favorites 8-4 after the Giants. Again, and talk about I had the Seahawks in that parlay or teaser rather, and they're lining up for a field goal. I tell you what, field goals have not been my friend. I get a block field goal yesterday, and the Giants return all the way. Last week, I had the Jets miss a field goal. Any time a New York team is involved in the field goal, just doesn't break out. Bengals, they missed the one. We end up covering the 3.5, but honestly, the Bengals should have won the game outright. Just all kinds of a mess. And Dallas last night, another dog, finished off the night 20-17. As much as I beat up Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys, I got to give them their flowers. Dak played. I know he had the turnovers, but to take them down and get a win against that Pittsburgh D was impressive. I can't lie. Cowboys there get the win 20-17 over Pittsburgh. So overall, just make sure my math here is right. Yeah, favorites 8-5 going into tonight. Right now, Saints down to 5. There's still a couple 5.5 some places, but Saints down to 5. You're over under 43.5. Looking ahead, some early lines for next week in the NFL. Couple opportunities that I got my eye on. We'll run through those real quick. First of all, you got the Thursday night game in the NFL. Wait for my page to load here. 49ers at the Seahawks. Niners laying 3. Right now, 68% of the bets in the handle going to the way of the Niners, 32% by way of the Seahawks. You have another overseas game early. Bears, that one was a 1.5 point game. It's all the way up to 2.5. If it touches 3, I think even if it doesn't touch 3, I'm on the Jaguars. I know you say, John, how would you want to put yourself through that? Bears are going to get overvalued because of all the points, and people are going to be like, oh, Caleb Williams figured it out, blah, blah. Folks, he played Carolina. He played Carolina. And plus, Jacksonville across the pond is really their home away from home. Commanders catching 6.5 at Baltimore. A little bit of a high line here, but man, the way Lamar's been playing, the way Jalen Daniels has been playing, I feel like a lot of points are going to be scored here because neither defense could stop a cold. And so I'm really, really looking forward to that. Cardinals at the Packers. Packers laying 5.5 to Kyler Murray. Right now, money is pretty much, or bets are pretty much split, but the handle 62% to Green Bay, 38% to the Arizona Cardinals. Gonna love watching, but I really, really am looking forward to this Jordan Love Kyler Murray matchup. Really, really good stuff there. Houston at New England. Houston laying 7. I think this one's going to get to 7.5 or 8 before the week is out. Everybody loves Houston, but again, be wary. Man's best friend is the home dog. I always say that. Be on the lookout for that. Tampa Bay at New Orleans. New Orleans laying 2.5. Again, I've been noticing, you take the Giants and Cowboys, for example, coming off that Thursday night, those long stretches. I got to say, Tampa Bay here, you catch a 3 with Tampa Bay, I'd be interested in that. I think if the Saints win tonight, if they're able to pull the win over Kansas City, you're going to see that line inflate a little bit. Could be a great buyback opportunity for the Bucs. Again, the Bucs had that heartbreaker on Thursday night. They got some extra time. But I got to tell you, I really, if you catch a 3, maybe even something crazy, I don't think you'll get a 3.5 in the market. But man, Tampa Bay 3.5, that would be good to go. Philly laying 8.5 to the Cleveland Browns. Deshaun Watson, we talked about it. Browns should have never let Flacco go. I mean, I don't think Jameis Winston, I don't think crab legs get you any better. But Watson, he just cannot throw the ball. It's been extremely brutal to watch. But Eagles laying 8.5, that's a high number. I'm assuming that's got Brown and Smith coming back. Haven't had time to look into that this morning. But I got to tell you, I mean, Hurts laying 8.5 on the road. I'm not sure I want to subscribe to that. Cleveland's a desperate team. They're 1-4. Colts laying 1 at Tennessee. Titans coming off of the bye. I actually like Tennessee there. I want to see which way the line goes. Chargers, it's up to 3 in some spots. Still a couple 2.5s at Denver. Again, I like the Chargers coming off the bye. Steelers laying 3 at Vegas. I think the Steelers are a good money line bet there. The Raiders, the way they've struggled to score, now they're going to play that Pittsburgh defense. Pittsburgh coming off the loss. I think Pittsburgh gets the win. I'm not interested in lane 3, but I am interested in the money line for Pittsburgh there. Falcons laying 5.5 at Carolina. I want nothing to do with that. I think if you were going to do anything, you maybe put Atlanta in a teaser with somebody else, but nothing there really intrigues me. Detroit laying 3 at Dallas. Going to be interested to see which way this goes, which way the line goes. Right now, it's been all Detroit all the time. 80% of tickets on the lines, 92% of handle compared to 20% of tickets going Dallas's way and 8% of the handle. Dallas at home, much better than Dallas on the road. Detroit coming off the bye, though. So a lot to unpack there. It's going to be a really tight game. Be hard to catch a good edge there. Really will. And then the Bengals laying 3.5 at the New York Giants on Sunday Night Football. The fact this is the Sunday Night Football game and it's not the Chargers or Broncos or especially Lions or Cowboys or Commanders, Ravens, Bucks, Saints. The fact that we got to watch the Bengals Giants on Sunday Night Football is great for me because it means I'll get to bed early on a Sunday night. That game last night in at like 1:15 just wrecked me. So listen, Bengals laying 3.5, 79% of tickets, 85% of the handle going by way of the Bengals, 15% of the handle going to the New York Football Giants. Giants, I gotta say it, man, they just keep surprising me. They just keep finding ways to win and stay in ball games. That Minnesota loss doesn't look so bad now as Minnesota moves to 5-0 and has really established themselves. Right now, you got to call them the best team in the NFC. Do I believe they are? No. However, your record is what you are, or as Bill Parcells once said. Then Monday night, this is an intriguing one because one of these teams is going to lose 3 in a row. Buffalo laying 2.5 at the New York Jets. I'll be interested to see what happens with Devontae Adams. I think you're going to see a lot of public money on Buffalo betting against them not to lose 3 in a row. Again, Buffalo a 2.5-point favorite, and it's showing early 84% of tickets going to the Buffalo Bills, 87% of the handle going to the Bills, compared to 16% of bets to the New York Jets, 13% of the handle. So again, I'll be interested to see how that line moves as things go on. College football recap, some big things there in the college football world. Now, we didn't get off to a very good start Saturday. We had Texas A&M money line, that cash. I tried to go against the public. The game the books needed the most was Air Force to cover 10.5. Air Force had won the last 4 meetings. So I said, Air Force double unit. Not so fast, my friend. They got destroyed by Navy. So we lost that double unit play early. Pitt, North Carolina. I really thought North Carolina was going to find a way to cover the 3.5. Never materialized, so we lost that one. And then we lost Oklahoma State on the money line. And Oklahoma State, just an absolute fraud. I had some futures on that team to win the Big 12. I really thought they were going to turn out to be a good football team, but they, again, have just not played well. So, again, the early slate was really, really bad. But then we fired back late. We had UL Monroe plus 17, outright winner, 21-19 over James Madison. We had Arkansas plus 14.5, another home dog. They win outright, knocking off number 4 Tennessee. We had Washington on the money line. That was our best bet Saturday. They rolled 27-17 over Michigan for the win. We had Minnesota plus 8.5 as a home dog. They beat USC outright. So that's 3 big dogs. We got the outright win. And then we had the parlay, Georgia Tech, moneyline parlay, Georgia Tech, Nebraska. That hit. And then Cal loses a heartbreaker by 1 to Miami. However, we got the cover as we had Cal plus 10.5. So we ran the board after the Oklahoma State game, puts us plus money for the day. College football has just been such a struggle. Obviously, Clemson, they rolled there against Florida State. They get a win. Alabama, everybody's talked about this. I'm not going to beat it ad nauseum, but man, lay an egg to Vanderbilt. Now, what I will say about this, you have the game with Georgia, then you go to Vanderbilt, you lay the egg. I look for a huge bounce back. I am not a guy that's going to lay double-digit points. But I got to tell you, when I looked at the lines last night, Alabama at home laying 21 to South Carolina. I'm going to lay it. And I've never laid a number that big, except my first 4 years of betting. I would lay crazy numbers and get my butt kicked because, again, if you trend to be a favorite better, it's really hard to win long term that way, right? Everybody loves the favorites, everybody loves overs. You've heard that from everyone. But I got to tell you, Alabama laying 21 next week to South Carolina. Sign me up. Now, I'm not laying over 21. So if it goes to 21 and a half, 22, I'm buying it back to 21. But I will lay the 21 with Alabama. I think they'll be pissed off. I think they'll be ready to roll. And South Carolina is not a good team. And South Carolina struggles to score. And they're going to walk into a buzzsaw there at Tuscaloosa. So give me Alabama next week laying 21. A couple other big things. Boise State, we have vested interest in them to make the college football playoff. They roll 62-30 over Utah State. A couple other big important ones. Indiana continues to roll. Indiana, very much a sleeper team. Not a lot of people talking about them. They're doing some pretty good things. Georgia, 31-13, the home win over Auburn. South Carolina, we just talked about them. They were hosting Ole Miss. Ole Miss went in there and won 27-3. We'll talk about Ole Miss in just a minute. Texas A&M, again, like I said, we had them money line. That was never in doubt. Hopefully we stop talking about Missouri. They're not a good football team. They're an overrated football team, and thank God they lost, so I don't have to hear my brother keep talking about them. Love you, Choppy. Syracuse, they get the win Friday night. We had them as a dog over UNLV. They get the outright win. Again, I knew it was a bad flat spot for UNLV. They're in that matchup. So now we flip ahead to this week. And, man, this is what the greatest time of the year. This is the week where it starts. College football, MLB playoffs, WNBA, which we've been very good in the WNBA. Very, very good. NFL, you got something brewing every single night. College football almost 7 days a week now. College football kickoff on Tuesday night. Florida International at Liberty. Liberty's going to be laying 19. A game I'm interested in Wednesday night. I looked at it last night. I was like, man, that's a lot of points. I'm really interested. New Mexico State travels to Jacksonville State. Jacksonville State laying 21.5. I want to keep an eye on that. The Aggies are looking to be a play. They're my lane. To me, it's Aggies or nothing, catching 21.5. Thursday night, you have Coastal Carolina at James Madison. James Madison, a 9.5 point favorite. Your over-under is 62.5. Middle Tennessee State goes to La Tech. La Tech will be a 4-point favored. They're over Middle Tennessee State. Western Kentucky laying 19 against UTEP. No opinion on that one. Friday, a game that I think is very sneaky, and it's definitely going to be a lot of one-way action. Memphis at South Florida. Now, listen, Memphis is laying 6.5 at South Florida. Remember, Alabama was in a dogfight there. 80% of tickets, 94% of the handle, trending to the way of the Memphis Tigers. If we can get 7.5 with South Florida, I think that's going to be a good value play there. Northwestern Friday night travels to Maryland. Maryland laying 10. Everything about even on the split there. UNLV laying 19 at Utah State, looking to bounce back. And then the big one late Friday night, Utah ranked 18th in the country. Utah now, without Oklahoma State, this has really turned into a 3-team race. You got K-State, Iowa State, and Utah. I really think it's going to be one of these 3 teams out of the Big 12. I don't see more than one Big 12 team with the way things have kind of diced up here. So, but Utah laying 4, catching 76% of bets, 68% of the handle, 24% of tickets on the comeback for Arizona State, 32% of the handle. Looking ahead to Saturday, as we talked about, Missouri not being a good team. This is the reason why. Middle of your season, you put UMass on the schedule, get the heck out of here. They'll be laying 27.5, though. Clemson, very much a sleeper team. Listen, I think they're winning the ACC. You can still find some plus 230s out there. Man, I would hop on that. I think Clemson, I know a lot of people love Miami. Miami keeps winning these close ones. Mario Cristobal is going to find a way to screw this up. I've said from the beginning. Miami has Final Four talent, and they have freaking Division III coaching. right? Miami's going to stumble. I love Clemson. I love Dabo. I love them getting back to the college football playoff, especially in this new 12-team format. I would ride Clemson. However, they are laying 20.5 today or next week at Wake Forest. 75% of tickets, 88% of the money on Clemson. Toledo at Buffalo. Got my eyes on Buffalo. Got some reverse here. 35% of the bets on Buffalo, but 88% of the handle. Looks to be a sharp play. Georgia Tech, who's dominated North Carolina over the past couple seasons. Georgia Tech laying 6. I really love that Georgia Tech team. Listen, in a couple weeks, we got Notre Dame at Georgia Tech, and I feel like that's the game. When I look at Notre Dame, again, I'm a Penn State Notre Dame guy. When I look at Notre Dame, they got over the Louisville hurdle. Florida State doesn't bother me at all. They're going to beat them. But I think this game at Georgia Tech is a bigger hurdle than even at USC. But make no mistake about it, Georgia Tech and USC, they win both those games, Notre Dame's in the college football playoff. I'll make the argument if they win one of those games and the other one they lose close, they get in. Look, the Northern Illinois thing is a blip on the radar. It's like Alabama losing to Vanderbilt. They play 100 times, they're going to beat them 99. So I don't think that's going to get held against them. Wisconsin at Rutgers. Rutgers laying 3. Again, a lot of money to Schiano and the Rutgers side, even though they lost 14-7. Again, we talked about the 21-point Bama. Here's one of interest. Washington catching 3 at Iowa. Should Iowa be laying points? Look, they got their second loss. They went in there to Ohio State and got thumped 35-7. Washington, though, they had a very physical game with Michigan. I don't know if you can play this game. I think if you're looking Iowa, obviously money line minus $1.50. If you're looking Washington, I think you got to wait for a 3.5 to pop up, or you buy the half to get the 3.5. Either way, I think that's the way you got to end up going. Cal at Pittsburgh. Here's one I got my eyes on. Cal plus 4.5. Sign me up. Going back to the East Coast. I know all this travel's hard on Cal, but listen, Pittsburgh, I know they're 5-0, so I don't want to totally downplay the record, but I just don't believe they're that good. They've been feasting on some really bad teams. Cal, I really love what they're doing there. Talk about a program that's came back from the ashes. Good for the Golden Bears. I like Cal catching the 4.5. Northern Illinois catching 2.5 at Bowling Green. Louisville laying 7.5 at UVA. Notre Dame, we just talked about them. They'll be welcoming Stanford, laying 23.5. Texas at Oklahoma, Red River rivalry. Here we go. And Texas is laying 14. Folks, Oklahoma plus 14.5. Bucket. When do you see a spread that high in the Red River rivalry? So listen, Penn State at USC. I can't wait for this one. The only problem is Penn State laying 5. And I got to tell you, as much as I'm a Penn State guy, James Franklin's the coach. I like USC plus the points here. I know USC just went to Minnesota and lost. You know, the look ahead, this was like a field goal game, so it's almost doubled. I think you could see this get to 6 before it's all said and done. I don't think Penn State can run away from USC. USC plus the points here, depending on which way the line moves, I'll be looking at that. Arizona at BYU. BYU all the way up to number 17 in the country. They're laying 3.5 at home. Again, we all know BYU, how hard it is to play there. We saw what they did to K-State at BYU, but BYU, ridiculous following for them right now. 92% and 98% of the handle going to BYU. Just absolutely incredible. Georgia will welcome Mississippi State. Georgia laying 33.5. UL Monroe, we talked about them. They just got the win at JMU as a 17-point dog. Won outright. We had them. Now they're laying 6.5 at home to Southern Miss. Really hard game for them to get up for after coming off that big win, destroying JMU's playoff hopes. Here's a sneaky good game. Washington State laying 3.5 at Fresno State. All Washington State right now. 88% of tickets, 99% of the handle going their way. Florida travels to Tennessee. Tennessee laying 15.5. Man, that win or that loss to Arkansas. We had Arkansas. Arkansas pulled out the win, but I got to tell you, this is like second or third year in a row where Tennessee loses to a middle of the road SEC team, and it's just going to destroy their chances because now they still got Alabama, they still got Georgia. I don't think they can get in the playoff as a 3-loss team. Maybe I'm wrong. I think they're dynamic, but listen, that was not a good loss to Arkansas. Here's a game I can't wait to watch as well. Saturday's just feel this has been the best Saturday this Saturday coming up as far as amount of good games. Right, we've had some good games, but like the amount is definitely this weekend, at least on paper to start. Ole Miss laying 3 at LSU. 59% of the tickets on Ole Miss, 41% on LSU, 77% of the handle on Ole Miss, 23% LSU. Of course, it's Monday. We got a long week to go. I'll be interested to see where this goes. But listen, I really think this is both of these teams' season. Somebody's getting eliminated, right? Because, again, they both got Bama on there. There's just a lot they got to tread. Or they both got Bama after this game, rather. They both already got one loss. LSU falling there to USC to start the season. Ole Miss dropping that horrible one at home to Kentucky. I think the loser of this game, their season's all but done. So very, very important game here. I like Ole Miss to get the win, but I'm not laying points on the road. So it really just depends. Does the line come back to me where the money line's at a decent price? But if it gets up $1.70, $1.80, I'm not laying that. No way, no how, especially on the road. But listen, Ole Miss at LSU on Saturday night under the lights, man, that's going to be special. What also is going to be special was a game of the year that's shaping up here. Ohio State laying 4.5 in Eugene. 68% of the bets on Ohio State, 67% of the tickets. 32% of the ticket count on Oregon, 33% of the handle. Oregon, this was a 1.5-point game. It's went up a field goal. Now Ohio State's laying 4.5. I'm going to be interested to see where this goes. I got to tell you this, though. I like Oregon, right? Oregon hasn't looked the greatest. People have been talking down on them, but I like Oregon here. I like Oregon, right? If Oregon comes out and they aren't competitive in this one, all right, now Ohio State showed their muscle to us. They're the best team in the country, blah, 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 blah. I still don't believe that to be true. I still think Georgia, Bama are better than Ohio State. But Oregon, that defense is going to have to deal with that run game of Ohio State's. But Ohio State laying 4.5, I'll be interested to see if the line really moves away from 4. Does it come back closer to 3? Does it hang out in no man's land and touch 5? I think either way, I definitely like Oregon. Kentucky laying 13.5 to Vanderbilt. Again, haven't did this in a long time. I'm not a guy to lay points, but sign me up for Kentucky laying 13.5. Vanderbilt's going to be on cloud 9 partying all week long about over that win against Alabama. That was their Super Bowl. Now they're going to get up and come into Kentucky. No way. Kentucky is going to roll here. I like Kentucky laying the 13.5 there. Iowa State, tough game for them. Again, they're undefeated. Top of the Big 12. They go to Morgantown, though. They're laying 3. West Virginia here. I think if West Virginia gets to 3.5, 4, I'd have to look at the home dog. Right now, it's at 3. I don't think I really want anything to do with it, but we'll see how that line moves. As I always say, we'll see where the line takes us. Syracuse laying 4.5 at NC State. Listen, I know Syracuse went out there to UNLV, beat a really good team. I like Syracuse, but I think going into NC State, into Raleigh against Grayson McCall, NC State's got a formidable defense there. I like NC State here as an early lean. Again, none of these are plays. These are just early leans. Got to do the work this week. Again, click subscribe. We're here every Monday and Friday, 9:30 a.m. Eastern time. And you can go to breaktheboardsports.com right now. Put in winners 24. You get this weekend free. And if we don't win, you get the second one free. After that, it goes to $10.99. Or you can do a monthly for over half off. Syracuse, again, laying 4.5 at NC State. NC State's my lean. Minnesota laying 5.5 at UCLA. I tell you what, I think this grows another point. Everybody's going to be high on Minnesota. Oh, they beat USC. How can they be how are they going to lose to UCLA? Listen, that's just the way it goes. You're at home. Now you're on the road. You're coming off a big win. I think it's a bad spot for Minnesota. UCLA is definitely underachieved, but I think them catching points here is the lean. K-State at Colorado. Again, just talking about great games. Texas, Oklahoma, Ole Miss, LSU, Ohio State, Oregon. Throw this one in there, right? I know a lot of people don't talk Big 12, but this is going to be an incredible game. K-State 5.5 at Colorado. 57% of tickets K-State, 43% of tickets Colorado. K-State 68% of the handle. Colorado 32% of the handle there on that one as we look ahead there. Also, WNBA, again, the Liberty wrapped that up. We got that big future on the Liberty. So they await the winner of the Minnesota Lynx and the Connecticut Sun. That game will be on tomorrow night on Tuesday, 8 o'clock. Lynx laying 3.5 to the Sun. Lynx minus 176 on the money line, plus 142 on the comeback for the Sun. Your over-under sets at 151.5. The Lynx, I got to tell you here, I actually like the Sun plus the point. I said it before the playoffs started. I said Liberty and Sun were my finals. I'm not going to back off of it now. Does it scare me a little bit going into Minnesota? Yeah, this is a tough defensive game. It's been a weird series because there's been times where Connecticut's looked extremely the more dominant team, and then there's other times Minnesota's ran out there and looked like the dominant team. Like, it's really been a real weird series. But again, I was with Connecticut before it started. I'm going to have to stick with them as it ends here. Major League Baseball playoffs. You got 2 games today. You got Tigers 4 p.m. Eastern time. You got 2 southpaws going at it. Skubal for the Tigers, Boyd for the Guardians. Boyd, the ex-pitcher of the Detroit Tigers. Now, your over-under is 6. That's insane. 6 is insane. I don't think I've ever saw 6. I've seen some 6.5s. I don't think I've ever seen an over-under in a baseball game be 6. It's juiced minus 115 to the over. Now, Tigers minus 130. Again, like we talked about, Boyd and the Guardians plus 110 on the comeback. We all know Skubal is going to win the Cy Young. But when you break it in here, and let's dive into this one a little bit more as we refresh some things here. So, Tigers, Indians. Indians have won 6 of the last 10, all right? They've won the last 3 and 5 of the last 6, so the Guardians have really dominated them. Now, Skubal in his last 5 starts, 3-2 with a 1.21 ERA. Boyd, on the other hand, 3-2 with a 2.74 ERA. So both of them have pitched really well. Now, Skubal against the Indians, these guys' last 3 starts, he's faced them once in 2022, once in 2023, and then faced them back July 22nd of this year. All 3 are wins, 7 innings, 6 innings, 7 innings pitched, but he hasn't given up more than a run in his last 2 starts against them. So he's been really, really stout. Now, Boyd, on the other hand, he's never faced his old team. His last start out was against the Cardinals September 21st. He lost that one. He went 4 innings, 4 hits, 2 runs. Both of them earned. Tigers throwing Skubal here. It's really hard to go against him in any type of situation. I do believe the Guardians are the better team. Now, bullpens, all that stuff matters, right? We always talk about those things mattering. And I got to look at it and I got to say, okay, I think when you look at this, you got to take Skubal and ride him here in this game. Now, a couple little insider things thanks to Steve McCacken over there. Now, for the season, Skubal, 18-4 with a 2.39 ERA. Again, Steve McCacken over there at VSiN. Thanks for all the work. Does some phenomenal stuff. Boyd, 2.72 ERA, 10.4 strikeouts per 9 innings. Both of these bullpens have been absolutely incredible this season for both the Guardians and then Detroit as of late. However, the Guardians, they got the best bullpen in Major League Baseball. I think right now the Tigers take them minus $1.30 with Skubal. They go down 2-0. They might catch game 3 at home, but the series is really over if they go down 2-0. The way the Guardians have dominated them 5 of the last 6, and if you lose with Scooble on the bump, I just don't see a scenario in which the Tigers are able to catch up there. Another one that we have, we had the parlay, the Yankees to win game 1 with Yankees to win the series over the Royals. We got that minus 115, which was great value. I felt like they've taken 7 of the last 10 against the Kansas City Royals. Cole Reagan's, the southpaw, has been lights out for Kansas City. His last 5 starts, 3-2 with a .87 ERA. He's just been absolutely incredible. Against the Yankees, he faced them once in his career back on September 11th. In that one, 6 innings pitched, 3 hits, 2 runs, both of them earned. So can't knock him down. Now, Carlos Rodon, been waiting for him to show up for the Yankees. 3-2 with a 2.20 ERA in his last 5 starts. He's faced Kansas City twice this year, 6 innings and 7 innings. But listen, gave up 4 runs in his last outing. In his last 3, the Yankees won 2 of the last 3, but he's gotten knocked around a little bit. 4 runs his last outing, 1 before that, and back September 29th of last year, he gave up 6. He didn't even get through an inning. 6 hits, 8 runs, all of them earned. Yankees laying 155 here. I'm going to pass on this just because we have the series play already on the Yankees, and we had them game 1. We laid $2. Was a little dicey. I hate laying that much, but I didn't see the Yankees losing game 1. Had to fight and struggle. I got to tell you, if I was going to bet this game, though, I would take the Royals plus the $1.30 with Reagans. He's been incredible. Rodon, you never really know what's going to happen with him. So I would definitely look at the Royals plus the money instead of laying it with the Yankees. So definitely going to lay the $1.30 with the Tigers. Not going to give out the Royals game, but my lean would be them plus $1.30. Tuesday, boy, oh boy, those Phillies came through for us last night with a big double unit win, 7-6 in the bottom of the 9th over the New York Mets. And we got a great one tomorrow night. Aaron Nola on the bump for the Philadelphia Phillies against the southpaw Sean Manaea. Now, this one is going minus 110 both ways in this game. And so, Phillies, Mets. Now, Mets, they've taken 6 of the last 10 and 3 of the last 4. That the Phillies were able to stop the bling last night. Now, Aaron Nola, 2-3 with a 5.33 ERA his last 5 starts. And against the Mets, he's faced them twice this year. The last outing coming September 13th, where he got absolutely blitzed. 6 hits in New York. 6 hits, 6 runs, all of them earned. He made it 4 1/3. Before that, he pitched back on May 14th. But listen, the Mets were a different team. Remember the GM and all of that, and everybody was talking about how horrible the Mets were at the beginning of the year. Look at them now, rolling. If you'd gotten right before the playoffs, they were 23-1 to win the pennant. Man, I'd like to be holding that ticket right now because I think there's a good shot, even though I've said Phillies all year long is going to get to the World Series. I think Mets and Padres are both very, very live. But listen, for the Mets, Manaea, 3-2 with a 3.68 ERA in his last 5 starts against the Phillies back September 21st. 7 innings pitched, 3 hits, 3 runs back on June 8th. 7 hits, 6 runs back on May 13th, 4 hits, 1 run. So, he's had moments. He won the last start, but the 2 before that were losses. I got to tell you, when I'm looking at this, I think it's Phillies or nothing. Mets or nothing. Apologize. Nola, I've never been a Nola fan. I think that place, Citibank Field, is going to be an absolute madhouse there in New York. I think the Mets, they've been red hot. The Phillies were very, very fortunate last night. Very fortunate. I think the Mets get game 3, especially once you get to the bullpen. Both of these bullpens are horrific. So whatever starter can go 5-6 great innings really gives an advantage. But the quick pull that these managers have on starters, I'll never understand it because all these bullpens have gotten rocked. Like even the Yankees bullpen stinks. Right, so all these bullpens getting hammered. I don't like it. Tomorrow evening after that game, the late game, Padres hosting The Dodgers, Padres laying $1.45 with Michael King. Plus 125 on the comeback will be Walker Buehler. Now, Padres finally stopped the bleeding. Dodgers had won 3 in a row till the Padres won game 2 last night. Padres got a 6-4 advantage. Now, listen, last 5 starts, Walker Buehler 3-2 with a 4.44 ERA. He's faced the he's faced the Padres twice this year. 5 hits, 1 run in 5 innings back on September 26th. 5 hits, 3 runs back on May 12th. On the flip side, though, Michael King, his last 5 starts, Michael King has just been absolutely incredible all year long. 3-2 with a 1.20 ERA. His last time out, he's faced the Dodgers 3 times this year. He's won them all. 5 innings, 7 innings, 5 innings, 1 run, no runs, and he back on April 12th, he did give up 7, but the past 2 have been lights out. Again, I think that place is going to be a nut house. This is very simple. Whatever you bet the Padres for, right? Whatever you bet the Padres for in game 3, if they lose, you just wheel back and double up game 4. This thing is going back to LA 2-2 in my opinion, but the Padres are at least getting one of these games. So I think you take your shot with Michael King in game 3 here tomorrow night, and you lay it with the Padres and you lay it hard. Again, if it loses, then you just wheel back. The Dodgers are not going 3-1 and winning the series. No way, no how. This has 5 games written all over it. We're going back to LA. So I would say Michael King and the Padres here are definitely the side. Now, when you look at the World Series odds, just to catch up on those, Yankees plus 220, Phillies 4.5 to 1, Dodgers 4.5 to 1, Padres 5 to 1, Guardians 8.5 to 1. This one, I think you should throw a flyer out there, folks. It's not the value you got 23 to 1, but the Mets 10 to 1. I'd give it a roll, see what happens. Tigers 20 to 1, Royals 23 to 1. So if it were me, I would look at Mets. I would look at Padres in the American League. I know I had said the Yankees aren't going to make it, but the more and more I look at this thing, man, I just don't see the Guardians or Tigers beating the Yankees in a 7-game series. Yankees got better as the season went on. I thought those teams like the Astros matched up better there when the Twins were rolling. Guardians have good pitching. I know they put up a ton of runs the first game against the Tigers, but I just don't know if they can sustain that for a whole 7-game series. But I still feel like the winner of the World Series comes out of the American League, or comes out of the National League, rather. To just win the American League, Yankees, you can get them minus $1.40. Indians 2.5 to 1. Royals and Tigers both 7 to 1. Listen, I think just to win the American League, Yankees minus $1.40, I feel like that's a great price, right? Maybe you take the Royals today, and then you take the Yankees for the series. If the Royals win, you can put more on the Yankees to get to the World Series. The price would be a little better, but I feel like, I'll tell you what, one thing I would look at, you've kind of lost the value for the New York Liberty in the WNBA. Before the conference finals or semifinals, or whatever you want to call it, they were minus $1.30. The Liberty are all the way up to 270. But I'm going to give you a flyer here. I think it is what I would do. Yankees to win the American League with the New York Liberty to win the WNBA title. You can get that plus $1.35. I don't know if you can really get much better than that. I think that's the way to go for that matchup. So I like that. Liberty and Yankees to win the American League, and Yankees to win the American League, and the Liberty to win the WNBA title. Again, plus 135. I feel like that's some really good value. When you look, if we look ahead to some futures, looking ahead to make the college football playoff, a couple things there without getting too far crazy, right? Notre Dame minus $1.20, Clemson now minus 110. I told you it was plus $2. That's for the weekend. Boise plus $1.30. If you look down and you're looking for somebody of value, They would have to beat K-State this weekend, but Colorado is sitting there at 10-1. But again, they would have to win their game this weekend against K-State. If you look for the national championship, Ohio State 3-1, Texas 4.5-1, Georgia 4.5-1, Bama 6.5-1, Oregon 9-1, Ole Miss 17-1, Penn State 18-1, Miami and Tennessee 20-1, 27-1 is Clemson, and then you take all the way down to Notre Dame. Notre Dame, you can still get them 40-1 to win the national title. So pretty crazy value there. If you look ahead to the NFL, we had already went through the games for week 6. But as we look ahead for the divisions, couple markets of interest. This AFC East, Bills laying 220. I can't subscribe to that. Jets 3.5-1. We talked about this with Miami. Miami's kind of hanging around there. They get Tua and company back. 6-1. I think this is a good buy low spot on the Dolphins. I mean, really, are the Bills or Jets that much better than them? I think 6-1 Miami is good buy low. Steelers are 4-1 to win the division. Ravens have come soaring. They're 230 now to win that division. Commanders 2-1, as we spoke about. 49ers now, they're all the way down to minus 115 to win that division. So there's some really good stuff there to look at as we move forward in the NFL. Super Bowl odds, I don't even know how you could bet somebody right now. These teams are just, like I said, there's not one team I look at and say, man, they're way better than the next one. Baltimore 7.5-1, Detroit 11-1, Houston 11-1. I could probably get behind that. Minnesota's down there 12-1. I tell you, kind of a sleeper. This Commanders team, man, 37-1. I mean, that's something to look at. Packers 25-1, Dallas 25-1. So some good stuff down there. Again, I'm not a big believer in Minnesota. They're obviously going to make the playoffs, not taking that away from them. I think right now, if somebody said, hey, gun to my head, who's your Super Bowl? I'm probably going to roll with Baltimore and Detroit. I think those over the past couple of weeks. But again, this thing with the NFL, it's moving week to week to week. Big thing is, breaktheboardsports.com, put in promo code winners24. You get this weekend free. We put out notes again. This just isn't about giving out plays. It's about education. It's about helping you be a better handicapper yourself. I said this last weekend. It's amazing. Worst 4 weeks for the public ever. And there's more information. There's more cappers. There's more anything than ever been out there. And so I think what you need to focus on as a better is becoming a good handicapper, the wise and following good people. Again, everybody can give you a good salesmanship, but does the record speak for itself? For us, 24-9 this week has been a great week since Wednesday with that Brewers win. And moving ahead here as we look into the future, we got some great futures going, a lot of good things. So as we move forward, again, click that subscribe. Every Monday and Friday, we're here at 9:30 a.m. East Coast time. Show goes anywhere from an hour to an hour and a half. And then, again, notes start being put up on Tuesdays for college football, WNBA, MLB. Those will start getting layered in throughout the week. And then you'll have your slate of college and NFL, again, at breaktheboardsports.com. Thank you again for another great week. Again, click the subscribe. Appreciate you guys. We will see you back Friday. Follow us on X for any information that you're looking for. And y'all have a great day.